Welcome to REI Pro Talk, where real estate investors turn for the latest news, tips, and tricks from the real in the trenches pros. Tune in to hear Chris Goff, the nation's premier real estate investing powerhouse. Join up with other top pros in the investing world as they cover every topic. No fluff, no filler, no holds barred. All you need to know from start to paycheck.
I think this is so important for people to understand, especially if you're just getting started. If you've been in the real estate game for years, quite some time, you kind of get it. It makes sense. But if you're just getting involved into real estate, it could be like, wow, is this really the best time to be in real estate? So anyways, thanks, Bonnie, for submitting this question to us ahead of time. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here, but hello, and thanks for taking my question. I'm a newbie and looking at new streams of income because of inflation and job insecurity. Basically, is this a good time to get into real estate? And I thought I'd give you just a couple of bullet points. I want to elaborate. I also want to show you something in REI Pro that's really going to help you understand your marketplace and what's going on there. So, number one, everybody knows this. And I want you to think, number one, I want you to keep an open mind for a second, because I think everybody thinks backwards on these things. You know, I think people, they wait for real estate to be on the news. Like, hey, this is a great time to invest. And I think people wait, and then they jump in whenever they think it's popular. And I remember Warren Buffett always says, you can't get rich on what's popular, right? But higher interest rates, as interest rates start to increase, what does that do? Well, it's simple. People stop buying, right? It's a mental thing. Why spend more when it was cheaper yesterday? And what does that do to the marketplace, though? What that does is it really goes back to, what we call supply and demand. If the supply increases because of the demand decreasing, prices have to come down. That happens, sellers become more motivated. Now, this is going to be different in every area, and is the reason why I want to show you here in a second in REI Pro what's going on in your area. Okay, so this is a mental thing. This is for home buyers, not investors. When I hear the interest rates are going up, I'm like, yes, great. Because at the end of the day, what are we really looking for? We're not looking for a property. We're not looking for a house. We're looking for a owner that is motivated at the end of the day, either motivated on price or motivated to the point where they're willing to take payments. That's the ideal world for any real estate investor, because that's where we can invest into a property and have a better chance of getting a nice return. Then we move to just the economic uncertainty. Inflation. Everybody knows it. It's huge. It affects every single human being when inflation goes up. The job loss side of it, I mean, if you think about it, if you cut back on your spending, maybe you don't go out to dinner as much. Maybe you stop buying certain things at the grocery store. That affects all the people that work at that restaurant. So if less people are going into the restaurant, they're not making as much money. So then their business goes down. And this is a domino effect, by the way. This is something that affects everybody one shape or another. And it's everywhere. Okay. So when you have that, people are like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can afford to invest into real estate. This is the one thing that I think causes stress for so many people. And when stress comes in about, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to get through Thanksgiving? How am I going to be able to do these things? Buy gifts for my kids? it becomes a serious matter. And this really affects relationships. Relationships really, you know, are being affected by something you feel you have no control over. And that's where I want you to think completely backwards, because you absolutely have control of what you do. I always told people, actually, I was having a call with one of my coaching students yesterday. I said, I feel I have the safest job on the planet because I know how to go make money. Right. So I'm not relying on somebody else to pay those bills. And that sets a limit of what I can do, when I can do it, and who I do it with. And I feel that that's real estate is one of those basic human necessities you have to have in life, and they don't make any more land, right? So it has to happen. It's going to stay here forever. So it's a very good, great long-term investment, but it's also a very good short-term investment for people that need to make a little bit more money. And just the last bullet point that I want to talk about here is pricier home repairs. I could tell you, we just had our back porch, just the wood cost, outrageous, 300% increase on prices of wood over the last year. Just that cost prevents homeowners, think about that, prevents homeowners from actually fixing up their home in order for them to sell it. So if they can't fix up their home in order to sell, they have to sell cheaper, because the next person has to understand, is this a good deal? Forget about a year ago where people were just like, I'll just buy it. I don't want to miss out. It's the last one left. This goes back to supply and demand as well. Okay. Now, from a rehabber point of view, we have to become smarter of what we buy, where we buy it, how we invest, what numbers we present to the owner. We have to understand those things a little bit better. But there are definitely ways and places that you can find way more affordable items out there. Maybe you don't go, so high end all the time with your rehabs, but it affects everything. And my whole point to all of this is real estate investing is at its highest when there are problems. And when there are problems, it creates situations, divorce, loss of job, everything. And that's when you invest. That's when you get started. You don't get started when everything is wonderful and everything is great, because it's almost like you've missed the boat. Now, this whole real estate game it's a wave. And what I mean by wave is that we always go through this. Okay, yeah, we haven't seen some of the numbers that we've seen in forever, but the simple flow of what happens, it's the same thing. And that is, when do I stop buying and sell as it goes up? When do I start buying and acquiring as the market goes down? And what do I do in between those two moments of time? And I've always told people, you just change the strategy. You don't change how you do a wholesale deal or how you do an owner finance deal. You focus more in acquiring, rehabbing, holding long term when markets start to go down, prices start to go down. And that's what you're going to see. This is a great combination for those of you looking for long-term investment, because if prices are going down, but rents are going up, this is really the ideal time for that. If you are a wholesaler looking to, hey, I need to make 5-10 grand a month, I need to find these deals. This motivation is going up right now, and it's going to keep climbing because of what's happening everywhere else. Remember, problems are a good thing for a real estate investor, not when everything is all hunky dory. Now, let me share with you real quick. I'm going to change screens here, and I'm going to jump into REI Pro. So here is your dashboard, right? So up at the top left, I want you to see this little dashboard switch here that I'm just going back and forth. So This is kind of more the analytical side. There's some really cool things that we're going to be introducing to this dashboard. But the one thing I want you to focus on of what's going on in your area so you could start seeing this yourself is our area statistics area. So up here, you can see I have Fayetteville, Georgia. I also have Memphis, Tennessee on here and Sterling, Virginia, just 3 locations. You can always add in multiple locations here. You can look at it over the last 12 months as well. Well, let's go back to Fayetteville, Georgia. And I want you to look at the very first box. So home sales against, the previous month. So we're down 24. It doesn't sound like a lot. But when you see the median price go down, what does that tell you? Prices are starting to come down. Then you look at the cost per square foot. What is that average? The price is slowly coming down. This is a good sign, especially a great place to invest. Or when I always look at school systems, because that really tells me what's going on from a financial, the economics there. People may have great jobs here, okay, but the prices are coming down. Keep in mind, supply demand is going to create motivated situations. You're not buying properties that are listed for sale at peak price right now. That's what a home buyer does. We're investors. We have to invest in opportunities. Opportunities consist of motivated situations. Markets are starting to decrease. Prices are coming down. This is where you would want to jump in. Now, if I click that last 12 months, I can kind of see what's going on over the history of this property. Some of these places aren't going to look so dramatic in change over the last 12 months, but the perception of people around your area or specific areas could be, oh my gosh, we can't do this and we can't do that and we can't buy right now. It's not a good time to do this. But when you look at the overall, maybe it doesn't look so bad. Okay, so that's more the perception part of it. What I want you to focus on is very clear. Supply demand issues, problems, situations. That's what we're really looking for. Okay, and I want you to utilize these numbers to help you. You might find a different marketplace because of this that you might want to invest in. So I think it's very important, especially when you come on board as, hey, is real estate a great thing to get into? Of course, we all say that we're in real estate. It's always a good time to be in real estate, right? You got to know what you're doing, though. And that's where this system was really founded on, is understanding, not just from an education point of view, but it's also, how do you do it? Help walk me through this process and give you the data, the tools, the systems that are going to help you do that. Okay, so utilize this dashboard. It's really going to showcase, is this a good time to invest where I live? Because like I said, look, every area is going to be a little bit different, right? Some areas are actually doing pretty well, while a lot of areas are not doing well. But understand the inflation side, the supply demand, why interest rates have to go up. All of these pieces are going to create motivated situations. This will continue. This is going to get a little worse. Changes, big, massive changes that need to be made will still take so much time to correct. So this is a great time to get in. Could it be scary for a lot of people? Absolutely. I was scared to death. I didn't know what I was doing when I got started, but heck, I was just getting out there and doing it. I didn't even know what I was saying to people. I filled out contracts wrong, but I was doing it. And I learned from that. You get better at it. And you understand these waves the longer that you do it.
Thanks for listening to REI Pro Talk. If you've ever wanted to jump into the real estate game, get started with the #1 software for real estate investors on the planet, REI Pro. Start for free at www.myreipro.com.